reviser will update us on Senate Bill 120.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 120 would authorize the Secretary of Health and Environment to adopt rules and regulations for an annual certification program for the replacement of segments of distribution systems and would allow any agreements for loans from the fund entered into after July 1, 2023 to be repaid within 30 years after that date instead of 20. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, committee, any questions for the reviser? Seeing none, thank you very much. Committee, at this point, any questions? We'll need a motion to pass out favorably Senate Bill 120.
I'll make the motion.
Senator Reichman makes the motion, has been seconded by Senator Ware to move the bill out favorably. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The bill is passed out. Turn our attention next to Senate Bill 205, and we'll turn it over to the reviser. Tamara?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate Bill 205 would allow a water right to participate in a water bank or a MIFA, but multi-year flex account, but not both in the same calendar year. And it would also have a grandfather clause provision for water rights, kind of that we're trying to do that before the Attorney General opinion came out earlier this year, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Tamara. Any questions for Tamara? Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As part of our testimony, we heard that the bill as written may not fully address the concerns that it still had some problems with what the Attorney General was saying. And I think Tamara had a proposal that could change that, and I asked her if she'd put together a balloon amendment, and I think she can explain it better than I can.
No fair.
Thank you.
Ready to go? Go ahead, Tamara.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday, during testimony, there was concern expressed that KSA 82A 736, which is the multi-year flex account statute, still contains the language that any holder of a base water right that has not been deposited or placed in a safe deposit account in a chartered water bank may establish a multi-year flex account except blah, blah, blah. So there's some language that sort of is the focus of the Attorney General's opinion, but wasn't addressed in this bill. And so the balloon that you have in front of you would bring that section into the bill and would just say, you can see it in attachment A there on the third page of the balloon in blue and C1 at the bottom of that first page of the attachment. So it would just say, except as provided in sections 1 and 2 of the bill, then you, excuse me, a water right can't be in both a water bank and a multi-year flex account. So.
Senator Reichman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just so to be clear, so with this amendment, they can be both in the safe account. Is this what amendment we do? Thank you.
Yes, but only as allowed in the bill that exists already. So the explanation that was provided yesterday, that would still apply.
All right. Any questions from the committee on the amendment? Seeing none, I need a motion to adopt the amendment. Senator Francisco.
I would make a motion to adopt this amendment.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Ware. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Amendment is adopted. Now we'll go back on the bill, Senate Bill 205. And any questions on that? Concerns? Seeing none, I need a motion to. Who's first?
I think Senator Reichman was first, so I would be happy to second that, just with the comment that, again, I very much appreciate the testimony that we had from a member of the groundwater district. I understand that this isn't doing what they asked us to do because it is keeping the two very separate. I think that is going to make more sense for accounting, but certainly appreciate what we heard in the discussion.
Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment and the bill as corrected. So, all in favor of the bill with the amendment adopted, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. The bill is passed out. Committee, I don't have anything else on here. I want to appreciate you coming in on Friday, but I was a little concerned with Monday and Tuesday left. If we didn't get an amendment this done, we might push it into another day. So this will conclude our business for this year. But I did want to, one last thought is on the Senate Bill 71. I've talked to not a lot of people, but related to this committee. Is there any interest in hearing that or making that, keep that on intact? Because we didn't pass it out, we just had a hearing on it. I'd appreciate your thoughts, Senator Ware.
I thought the basic idea of it was quite intriguing. I do still have a couple of questions that I've thought of since I, listened in on WebEx the other day. One, I want to be reminded, I remember that the department was a little concerned about how quick the timing was. And from, I believe, the gentleman from the Nature Conservancy, Mr. Buller, said, well, as long as we're doing regenerative agriculture issues, why keep it just to this? Let's expand it to the whole of that topic. So those two ideas, I would like to see get incorporated into the bill.
All right. Any other comments? Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did get some additional comments from the Nature Conservancy. I had a meeting scheduled with them at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and you might all remember that we were on the floor having a long discussion about another bill. So there were some very good points that were made. One, to have a definition. They've suggested a definition of sustainable agriculture. I know that there was some concern that the bill stated that this was an express, intent to be able to apply for these funds. I should have looked at this wording, but I think we talked about just making it an initial recommendation. I would be interested, I didn't ask Tamara to work on this unless I knew that there was interest from the committee, because it's a fair amount of work when we're asking her to do other things. But I'm wondering if there would be that opportunity for me to work with her on some amendments today, to have those sent out to the committee on Monday, and then perhaps meet Tuesday morning to look at that as a possibility. This is a lot of federal funding that would be available. I also heard from the department, it would be interesting to see if there's a way we can help them with a grants writer, because this is not the only grant and the only set of money that's going to be available. And we're working with some, I think, very difficult timelines with the federal government, but also we don't then have the luxury as the legislature to wait a year or two to see what happens. So would people be comfortable? Is that something that we can do? have a message sent out to committee members on Monday?
That's possible. I just wanted to say that I'm opposed to it, but to create another agency, that needs to go. I don't like that idea. That's a demand that we have to create this division to implement that. There's probably other ways to go around that, at least at this point. So anyway, Senator Ware.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the folks who testified, and since I wasn't here, I didn't plug it into my head as well as I might have otherwise in person, but one of them said that they felt like something, a structure that was already existing in the ag department would likely be able to pick this up. Another point that I thought of while we were talking, I wasn't really prepared to talk about 71 today, is that we need to, if at all possible, we need to work to get an FTE for ag to deal with this kind of technology and make sure that they're paid well enough to actually be able to get them. But the return is huge. So I think that it's well worth looking at.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
I guess I'll weigh in.
Comments?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, I think the whole thing is very intriguing. As the doctor that was the guy that Robert Cascade was saying that we're situated in a pretty good place with our wells and that type of thing. I'm always concerned with the federal government, the strings that are taxed, that are attached with it. But the same token that the money's going to go someplace, and we might be able to get some of that. So I'd be interested in looking at it. That's where I am.
Thank you. Senator Fagg, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to be a team player. I hear what Senator Reichman's saying, and with federal funds and chasing it, and we're under a timeline. I hate that kind of stuff. So, why do we have a timeline? Why are we chasing it that way? I don't like the new department. I'd rather have one FTE working grants instead of two and do other grants besides that. I mean, it's kind of some of the thoughts that I'd put to that. So,
Thank you very much. Senator Dahl, you want to? I'll be calling on you all year. So I think one more comment. Department of Agriculture here with Kelsey, you want to just add a little bit to the cause? Don't be afraid to be frank and brief, and straightforward. What do you think?
Well, I think that there's certainly funds on the table, and if there are Kansans who want to try to put these funds to use, we'd certainly like to be able to assist in that manner. I don't think we need necessarily a sustainable division to do so. I think that there's ways we could incorporate it into either existing divisions or even keep it at the Office of the Secretary level. And from the agency perspective, if you increased an enhancement for a position, I would certainly like to see that initial position strive to work on other grant opportunities as well, because we know there's other funds out there that we try to go after ones, the low-hanging fruit, but we know there's some ones that we have not been able to dedicate as much time to because of our bandwidth. So certainly we'll support what you guys come forward with, and happy to provide feedback if that's appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't think it's necessary to have another division, and I think we can certainly work on a bill that eliminates that. It's going to be very interesting to see what the House committee does, because they had the same, they heard it, but we don't know if they're going to work it. So my interest is in having either the House or the Senate bring this above the line before turnaround and continue the discussion. So we can certainly wait and see. I don't know that we would know by Tuesday, but I mean, if the House committee takes action on Monday, I don't think it would be necessary for this committee to do that. We'd have a little longer to work on it. But I would be happy to work on just making sure that we don't have the division or a separate division. I think we may still need to have the districts or the opportunity for counties to set up those districts. Anyway, so I would appreciate the opportunity to at least have a meeting on call of the chair on Tuesday, if,
First, I need to talk to the reviser. How much does he need, your time is this going to take to? The lid is wide open on Marcy over there, so. Okay.
again, I don't think any of us feel that whatever we come up with by Tuesday is going to be the absolute final wording for this. So I think what it needs to do is reflect the committee's intention that we talked about, that it not be a separate division and just be a way to accept these funds and make sure that if we learn more in the next couple of weeks now that those criteria have been published, that we're in a position to do that. So I, again, would certainly appreciate the help from the committee. And I have some wording that I can give Tamara, so if she wants to set a time limit, like of an hour, then we can do that.
Well, committee, I've heard all the information out here. It's a tough choice, but I guess I'm willing to grant you the time to put an initiative together and we'll look at it Tuesday. That sound all right?
That does. I don't think people would be happy to approve it if I had them come in Monday morning.
Honesty is the best policy. So, okay, let's do it like that then. We'll inform the rest of the committee that that's what we're looking at. And if it gets to be an overload, Tamara, you tell me. Okay. Anything else to come before the Senator Francisco?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know that we got the information back from Luke Drury on the state water plan, and I talked a little bit because I was considering putting together a minority report, so I talked also with Victoria Potts. I think there's been some confusion because Victoria said she believed that since our motion added $200,000 and the Ways and Means had already added $200,000 for the soil health, that she thought it might now be $600,000, which was never the intent. So I'm wondering also if on Tuesday we might consider our minutes, especially for the meeting on Thursday, February 9th, because it just talks about Francisco moved and Senator Peck seconded to transfer approximately $265,000 out of the $53 million to the Department of Ag. And I just want to make sure that I have a chance to talk with Luke today and that we get wording in there that clearly says that that wasn't additional SGF. And my understanding about, so I did have a call in. I was trying to talk to Luke yesterday afternoon and wasn't able to, and didn't get a call back from him yet this morning. So I don't think that there's a problem with the report that Luke has presented for the state water plan, because it's doing well, it's adding 200,000 SGF for the Department of Agricultural Initiative. And I want to make sure that that is said in a way that it's not that additional 200,000. Does that make sense?
Any comments?
So I will respond to this SCR on the, for the water office and check with Luke and make sure about his wording. And then we'll also provide wording to the secretary about that motion so that it's clear that we're not adding that extra 200,000 in what we've done.
Okay. Any comments or thoughts? All right.
So we should be able to be in a position to also approve all the minutes on Tuesday if we do meet. See, that's a good reason to meet.
Okay. All right then. Any other thoughts from the committee? You know, understand what we're doing? We are meeting on Tuesday. We'll consider the future of Senate Bill 71, and then you can make sure, authorize that correction is taking place. All right? Tuesday at 8:30. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming and your attendance.